January 6th.
Sorry, sir.
No, not a problem. Good evening, everyone, and I want to welcome everyone to our Town of Windermere Town Council workshop for January 6th, 2026. The time is 6:06 p.m. And with that, I will turn it over to Tanya.
Good evening, everyone. So this evening we are doing a public information workshop relative to the restroom concepts that we are looking at for over next to the library on the town square site. What you have this evening are two options. One is the town council concept based on the feedback that we received at the last town council meeting. There were about 7 options or items that the town council had put together that they would like to see changed on the initial concept that was presented to them at that point. What we do want to note is that we will have the architect, if this is a preferred design, we would have the architect move the wall restroom in line with the rest of it so it goes straight across. That was just something we didn't have him delve into and put too many hours into yet, since we had 2 concepts to look at this evening. The second concept, and I will move the screen. The second concept was based on resident input. A resident in the community had sent me a sketch and some comments on the initial design that he had seen. And from that, I gave that to our architect. And so he came up with 2 options this evening for you to review and comment on. So with that, I will turn it over to the community for input in this informational meeting.
Which
What's
is Liz and Stephen.
Yep.
So I certainly want to hear all of that. I just a quick question for everybody. It may come in handy for the discussion. Do we have an estimated square footage for both of these and in comparison, like footprint wise? I think that will help on the conversation.
There's square footage, but there's not footprint on the drawings I see, but you can see the square footage.
I see 476 square foot, but I didn't know if I couldn't tell if that was just for the porch. Sorry.
Ah. Oh, you're right. There is 2 on there.
Yeah, it's 578 square feet for the interior portion of this.
Okay. All right. And
And
that
then
compares.
sorry, Mr. Mayor. And then the first sketch, this one here, was basically very similar to the same footprint we would have been using over by Town Hall.
All right. So they're quite close. Yeah, they're within
Yes.
100 square foot or so. Just
Yeah,
to just for it'll probably help us with conversation. So
sure. And what the architect wanted me to let you all know, this concept here, this is kind of a plug and play. He could do less of these, make it more straight, like we saw on the original from the resident. So this is something that we could plug and play with and make it smaller if need be.
okay. All right.
And
We'll
it did,
let's
and also on this one, Mr. Mayor, one of the things that John and I wanted to let you all know was that we could do away with the wing sides where there is a baby changing station. What he did is he did 3 baby changing stations, because I heard at the last meeting from council maybe 1 unit in each side for baby changing and then 1 in the family restroom. So you have 3 here versus the several that he presented to you at the initial meeting. So if you want to do away with those wings, we could definitely do away with that. And we could just have it in the family restroom, or maybe put 1 somewhere else in one of these. So just food for thought.
Yeah, I think as you're looking at that plan, council, and you look at the bullet points within the executive summary, the items, we have not updated the drawings based on the feedback we got in November, because we don't want to really go beyond schematic level until everybody agrees on comments to a plan. Then once we all agree on what direction we're going to do, we'll move to concept phase, and then obviously bring that back to you and then go into the construction document phase. So right now, if you guys think about this, we're in the schematic phase with a lot of comments, trying to answer the call with
Mhm.
before we start sending the architect to really start diving into construction document level.
Correct.
And
Okay.
I think,
Appreciate that.
sorry. And the change
No,
was, original concept was to move the water stations here. well, I'm trying to point, but I can't.
I see it moving.
To the common areas that were proposed originally.
Hmm.
Yes, it was to, I
This,
believe it was to remove them to the porch area. And I think that was Councilwoman Haynes's comment on the
I
bottle
had
filling
the
stations.
water. Yeah, I said we needed a refill station water fountain
Yeah,
out
which I think would be, I think that drinking fountain that we have out front under the porch there on this concept that we're looking at will have a bottle fill station. So it
right.
would be the LK, chilled water fountain
Yes,
with the water bottle fill on it.
Okay.
right.
All right. So before council jumps in, then let's get feedback from the public, and then we can have a little bit of council discussion to go along with that. Fair enough, everyone?
Mhm.
Mayor, just remember this is a public information workshop.
Yes, sir. Understood.
So, yeah,
Hey,
we're
Mayor,
following.
just real quick before we get into the public comment, if John or Tanya could tell us what the code requirements are for the number of fixtures and the handicap stall requirements, that would be great.
Yeah, Tony, I can answer that question because we did actually study that when we were looking at the pavilion, and we based it on it's kind of the potty parity, right? So we based it on, events that would go on in town. Obviously, we didn't base it on a 3,000 person event. We based it on normal events that we typically have, but we could get larger, then you just get lines. But our initial design that we did with Hunt and Brady was specific to the area of the town for the area for service based on the potty parity. So we felt we met at the time the code. We may need to go back and revisit that, but I think we're going to be fine based on what we've done, and we've added the family restroom as well.
Yeah, the reason I asked John is because the other option shows handicap stalls for all of the fixtures, and I'm not sure that's a requirement.
No, that is not necessary. Oh, I think what Tom Price did was he said, if we're going to build a square, we might as well as make it handicap accessible. So whether you go in or not, it's handicap accessible. And I do want to make the comment though too, that is a larger square footage, the way that it's currently designed, but it is blockable to say, oh, we only need 4, we need the 6 or whatever. Um, but you got the 500, square feet of interior space, and then you do have the additional 400 and something square feet of exterior space, meaning the vestibule for lines and that kind of thing. So it is a larger square footage. So it's not as efficient of a design, and obviously not as efficient from a plumbing perspective because you're scattering plumbing everywhere. So those are just thoughts. We have not priced this concept yet. So as you guys consider and talk, just those are just things to consider.
So, John, I think you're clairvoyant because that was going to be my next question, whether we did a ROM on either one of these.
We have the ROM on the previous one, which we did back in May of 25. This one. And I think you and I talked about it at the time. I think at that point in time, we were um, at about $800 a square foot, which, seems reasonable for restrooms based on our experience, Tony. Um, And I think so we do have the ROM for this one. I think now that we are moving it over to the library, we can look at reduced finishes on the interior, which will help drive the costs down. Our biggest ads moving it to the library location was providing additional sidewalk and walkways, ADA parking, and the underground power that we're going to have to drive from the corner of Fifth and Forest. So we have a lot of underground run that we have to do to be able to feed this thing.
Okay, John, thanks. I think back to you, Mayor. Apologize for the interruption, but I thought
Yeah.
that was a pertinent discussion to have before we have public comment.
Good questions, and yeah, and so this is informal tonight, everybody. So we'll have a more formal session to further discuss. But I did we'd still like to hear some feedback. I do have one other question that kind of pops up at me. We have a because of the current location that has moved over. We made those decisions based upon the footprint of option one. Option two, at least visually, appears wider. And that may present an issue with the tree and our setback from the library building. Is that a fair statement?
I think
Well,
it is, I think, I'm sorry, Tanya, go ahead.
Well, if you remember, John, we did bring Mr. Price out on site over to that location. He's very well aware of the fact that the tree was there and we wanted to make sure we weren't impacting it as part of this process. So I'm sure that would have been on his mind while doing
Okay.
this.
And that correct. However,
Yeah.
Jim, we're so much in the schematic level right now, just trying to figure out a layout for a restroom that we didn't want to spend the money and engage in a site plan to actually figure this out. So there may be modifications based on that.
Understood.
I know we do have, Kimley Horn and Tom Price approved for it, but we didn't want to start burning anything until we got through the schematic phase.
Totally agree, guys. And I guess my question, I should have made it more clear, is that, and you guys filled in the blanks, that he was there on site, so he looked at that, and it can certainly be a matter of just scale on the schematic here. So totally understood. Just wanted to make
But also
sure.
understand, through the design process, once we engage, moving from schematic to concept to construction documents, there may be a
Right.
slight modification to the orientation of the building
Sure.
or, the shape and size of the building based on the footprint of where we want it in its relationship to the environment.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Mayor,
Yes. Yeah, Robert.
I would say yes, it does impact the tree to the north.
It looks like okay. All right. So obviously that's a legitimate question we're going to have to answer. And everybody can. I I believe everyone's pretty much in agreement that we don't want to impact the tree if there's a way around that. So, and I think that would be something that we would probably not want to do. So, but it doesn't mean you couldn't. Like you said, this is modular. Relatively modular. You could pop off two if they're unnecessary potentially, and get a narrower footprint, or maybe just configure a little differently. So
That is
anyway,
correct. But
just
I do want everybody to be clear that when we moved it to this location, there is impact to that tree. And I've met with the
yes.
arborist and,
Yes.
we are having to remove a very large limb for the roof,
Hmm.
regardless of whichever design we do. So when we say there's no impact to the tree, we have to be careful because there is impact to the
No
tree.
what I meant, I'm so sorry. No new impact that we didn't already
No, yeah,
know
no
about.
further impact to what we
Yeah.
previously said.
Yeah.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and listen, I appreciate that, and that will probably come in handy down the road.
Yeah,
that we
well,
said that
it's
out
about,
loud
we've talked about it.
again. So I get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this was November and now we're in
Yeah.
January. So just reminders
Absolutely.
more than anything.
And I just want to ask one question just for clarification. So it says on the newer drawing that each box, the modular boxes, are 7 foot 4 inch by 9 foot 4 inch. Is that what that says? Can't see it very well.
I think
As
it is
it look-
9'4", Brandy.
Yeah.
Okay. So now is that like the interior of the box or the exterior or anything, or does it, I mean, I'm probably slicing hairs here, but I'm just curious because
That would not be outside wall to outside wall. That would be interior space because that's a requirement for ADA. So we're
okay, so that's the
Yeah.
actual box inside. Okay.
Yeah.
And
So
then
then you have the block beyond that and blah blah blah. So it'll
Right.
grow.
And then
So
the
if it's-
dotted line around the edge, is that supposed to represent sidewalk?
Oh no, the roof line.
That's okay. So that's just like the soffit area that would hang out
Yeah.
over. Okay,
Yeah, drip line.
gotcha. Just wanted to confirm
I'm-
that I understood that.
And at this point, I'm not really sure how that roof works on this structure. So, it's
Yeah.
just
Okay.
very, very schematic right now.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Just
Yeah,
wanted to-
understood. All right, and just so everybody knows, a block width is, I think, about 7 inches, 7.6 or something like that. So, All right. CT has been patient with her hand up. CT, you have some comments?
Yeah, John, quick question for you. You said this is to code to what capacity? You said to a couple of our events. Is this to food truck capacity or is this to our regular holiday hoopla? What numbers are you referring to as far as this meets code?
Yeah, I think when we studied that, obviously we didn't want to do it for 1,000 people. I think when we did the study, we did the potty parity study based on 500 to 600 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So hoopla size actually probably, I would say that's probably in that neighborhood.
And quite frankly, we're not really bound to that
Right.
because before we had a men's and a women's bathroom. So anything we do is an upgrade.
Well, and also when you do the potty parity, you still have two restrooms inside town hall. So they should be in the equation for capacity.
That is correct. And part of our new town hall design includes the addition of a family restroom within interior to the town
Okay.
hall.
So 3.
Oh, wow. That's great. Yeah.
Okay. Steven, do you have any thoughts on these, sir?
Yes, quite a few.
Okay.
You saw my sketch of the last council meeting,
Yes, sir.
which had 4 in a line. It could be 5 in a line, but what I'm concerned about here is when everybody talked about viewing the doors, I lined them up so every door could be viewed from that basketball area on the north side of the site. This, of course, and the last one still have a blocking of those doors visually from the main part of the site where people supposedly were gathering. The other thing I can't understand is why there is a humongous big space in front of bathrooms. I mean, what is that doing? You're standing there waiting for a bathroom in a very large courtyard, basically, or something. And that seems to be a bit odd. The other thing, I mean, if you look at a square building versus one that's got this many corners, every corner costs you money. And I'm also concerned about the plumbing not either backing up or backing up to an outside wall where you can get a access panel in there to service the plumbing. The walls look at about 8 inches thick. You got to have plumbing chases in those walls too. So there's some funny things that I don't understand with this option 2. Certainly my sketch that I provided to the council was hand drawn very quickly after seeing the other plan. And my computer crashed, so I couldn't even put it on a CAD drawing. So I'm just thinking the area of this option 2 is about twice as much or 3 times as much needed for shade over those doors. That's what I see here is concerning.
Okay, good.
I'm
good
also
feedback.
concerned about, of course, the concept that was made about we want to see I'm assuming, go back to that one concerns me because it's got, you don't know who's in the bathroom. The other one, at least you watch your child open the door and they're in their privacy. Can you go back to option 2 a second? I mean, I just am assuming that off to the right is north. John?
That is correct. I'm assuming too, but I would assume that it's facing towards town hall.
Mhm.
Bonnie,
That design. Yes.
Bonnie, can you go back to the number 1?
Yes.
So, Stephen, what is your objection to this one?
Well, the point is, when I heard all those comments about, oh, I don't want my child going behind the town hall because I can't see them. I can't see them, either that scheme or this scheme, in a sense, you have no idea who's inside that bathroom when your child goes in that door. You may be able to see the door, but you won't know who's inside. Whereas the pods, at least, will have a lock on them when you're in there and an unlock when you go out. So a parent sitting maybe over next to the basketball courts can see the doors of where their child went in. We don't want if the real concern about the plan was to get security for children going to this bathroom, this plan has a flaw in the fact that anybody could be hiding back in the accessible circle back there as the child goes in.
Yeah,
Uh,
but I mean, Stephen, I can't.
Most parents take their children to the bathroom with them.
Yeah, I can't
they
legislate.
should. I agree with that, but that's not what they
Yeah,
were saying in the meeting.
but guys,
But
Stephen's addressing the fact that this was made a major point of rationale for moving it. But I, I think that may have been a bit of hyperbole in terms of you know, real versus perceived danger.
I think there's
We
probably
always took our kids
very
to the
little
bathroom.
chance that we have a mugger type person at these events, but that was the strong expression made at that public meeting.
Mhm.
But if you have 1 in a million, he shows up here, you know,
Yeah.
Well,
it'd
I
be
think
nicer to be able to see those doors. The other issue, of course, was comments about maintenance. And if you go back to option two,
Hmm.
the I mean, obviously you could shut four of those down, except when you're having an event,
Right.
and your maintenance would be greatly reduced.
That is true. Which was part of what we talked about with option one as well, because you could just leave the family bathroom open,
Yeah.
versus which I thought was kind of the intent, right? Rather than the full size bathrooms, which you would use generally for events or potential rentals, etc. So, I mean, I think you get some of those options in both. And yes, your more linear, modular rendering is
And,
narrower, which may be beneficial as well. Um,
well, I mean, this is taking up a big footprint, which if it's going to be sitting next to the tree in the library, or what I was trying to do with that sketch was get it so it slid between them without as much impact.
yeah. Tony?
But now, when I talked to Brandy today, there was some comment about someone using my design. I'm just trying to help the town. I don't care about any credits or anything else. I'm just saying this seemed to be a fallout from what that meeting we had before. So
Okay.
I have no priority on anything, just my experience in saying, here's what I think can help. Okay.
Hey, yes, sir. And we appreciate it a lot and always appreciate all the sketches you provide for us.
Well,
And whether they're of us in front of the dais or bathrooms. Tony's got his hand up.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. So obviously there's a difference in fixture count in each one of these designs. John, have we done a requirements review on what the fixture count for male and female needs to be?
Sorry, I was on mute. That was actually part of the potty parity when we did it, based on 300 to 400 people, I think it was 400 to 500 people. So the fixture count was based on that.
So the fixture count on the previous design, the interior linear design, was 9 fixtures. Here it's 6. What meets that?
I don't know. I haven't studied this new design on the potty parity, Tony. Um, I just know that what we tried to do is build the most efficient restroom we could build in our current design that we had, which is actually an offspring from the one that we were designing from the pavilion.
Yeah, because the previous design, design A, for lack of a better term, obviously is going to provide better throughput than this
Mhm.
other design is going to provide.
Yep.
Do they both meet the code / requirement or not?
Well, you have probably, well, I don't know because you have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fixtures. Well, 9 fixtures
Nine with the
actually.
family
Yeah.
versus six on the other side.
Yeah. So obviously it's less relative to turnover, if you would use a term. So this becomes a more efficient design for sure. But to Stephen's point, hey, if parents wait in line for the family restroom, then they have the privacy for their child. I think most parents will actually, like I know with my granddaughters, my wife does not let them go into a bathroom by themselves. They always bring them in, um, let them do their thing, and then walk them out. And so most parents do that. So it's really just about efficiency in design and footprint, and you know, there you go.
Stephen has another question. He can go ahead and ask his question. I have some other comments, but go ahead and let Stephen talk.
All right, Stephen and then Brandy.
Just a clarification. I mean, what John said is when you establish a number of people, then you establish how many fixtures you have. And the number of fixtures has to be equal for men and women. So if you got a toilet, a water closet in one, and you have a urinal in the other, that's equal. So I think you don't want to say that code requires there to be 10 fixtures, or that's just up to us, how many fixtures we think will be needed for a standard event, not a mega event. That's what I heard from John. So the code's not going to tell you have to have 10 fixtures or 6 fixtures. It's going to tell you that the men's side and the women's side will be equal. In option two, obviously, if all of those are unisex, obviously it's equal. Does
Yeah,
that make sense?
thank you, Stephen, for that clarification. I think my point is, efficiency of design. And quite frankly, we're not bound by code because we serviced everybody with 2 restrooms. So this is an upgrade regardless of what we do on either schematic design.
Okay.
Okay. Is it okay if I talk now?
Yeah, go ahead, Brandy.
Sure. So I just wanted to clarify a couple of things because back when I was working in New York City is when I started learning about this whole potty parity thing. So, the rule generally has always been historically to have equal number of fixtures for men and women. So if you had one urinal and you had on the men's side and you had one toilet on the women's side, that met older regulations. But the newer regulations takes into account that women spend more time in the bathrooms and women's usually have a queue and a line. So, for example, in New York City and bigger cities, the rules change to for every 2 urinals or 2 fixtures in a men's bathroom, there would be 4 in the ladies' restroom so that women weren't always having to queue in line and always wait in line because when you go to the bathroom with your family or whatever, men are always done before women. So newer regulations in New York City and a lot of the bigger cities require, and I know we don't have that requirement, but the whole point of that was to require more for the women than the men. So, with the unisex modular style, I feel like, women have the option to go in there if they need to. In terms of the bathroom, I will say this, my daughter's 8. So when she was 2, 3, 4, even 5, 6, yes, I always took her to the bathroom myself. I sit usually within like 40 foot of where we're talking about. And it was a lot of the parents from the elementary school that I know that are at food trucks because we go to all the food trucks. So it was a lot of those parents that I was talking to. And some of them they don't take their 4-year-old or their 5-year-old to the bathroom. I mean, that's their prerogative as a parent. So I did get a lot of feedback from, parents that have kids at the elementary school about, the line of sight. But I would think that it would cost a lot more to construct one with, that layout and all those corners versus a straight line thing. If it's the modular and a straight line, more like Stephen had, I also think like you're going to have more maintenance, like you're going to be maintaining around corners, whether it be shrubs or plants or other things, whatever's facing the forest street. But, I think it's more cost effective to build something more straight line than that curved layout. I feel like it's kind of drawing attention and making it kind of flourishy, and it's just a bathroom. I think simple's better. And if we're still considering, aside from the plumbing, if we're still considering air conditioning, then you would want something more straight line for, you could have ductwork running along the, the top of the back. A lot of homes have that, lower section in the corner of the room, if you have lower ceilings, to have the ductwork running through it. And you could have something running with vents pointing into each one, whereas that becomes a lot more cumbersome in the design if you're trying to go to bathrooms and that layout for option 2. So, but that's been my understanding of newer rules of potty parity, is that more stalls for the, the ladies, so that they're not always in a queue. So that's my kind of thoughts on these ones. So I kind of like Steven's option, which I know is not on these drawings, or, Tom Price moving them up, and whether that be 4 stalls or whatever. And I don't have it here in front of me, but I remember when we talked about it, I think that the number of fixtures we had in the original design option 1, and I said this at the council meeting last month or the month before, whenever we talked about it, that's big enough to accommodate large stadium amount of bathrooms. So they're all more than enough in the designs we have right now. 4 stalls very well may be enough if they're unisex, but because there's numbers on that, like how many fixtures you need for people on the websites that I was on before.
Thank you, Brandy. Tom Stroop. You're muted. Oh, there you go, Tom.
Gotcha. Yeah, great job, everybody. I don't know that we should get wrapped up in requirements. John and Steven pretty much summed that up. Like, we need to make sure we build this for the convenience of the residents and not for some large anticipated future crowd. That's the primary goal of most things we do in Windermere. And I want to make sure that stays the primary goal on this project too. It's a convenience for everybody, but primarily it's a convenience for the residents when they come play basketball, when we have food trucks, when we do other things like that. So I don't know if we need to get wrapped up in all this requirements and codes. I mean, codes, yes, but not requirements and what they do in New York and everything. I understand your point, Randy, but my experience with unisex bathrooms is that it just slows. Now, don't take this wrong, but it slows everybody down. So now you already admitted that women take longer in bathrooms. So if you got 4 or 5 bathrooms that are unisex and they're all being used by women, the men have nowhere to go, as opposed to, at least if we can get the men out of the line, there's less people in the line. So I'm not in favor of the 6 unisex bathrooms. I think the faster we can get the men in and out is still important, because it's still part of the line. When people line up for unisex, they don't line up by gender. They all get in the same line. So, and I've experienced that recently at a UT football game, where it was a unisex bathroom. The men could have been done and gone, but the line was twice as long constantly, because they're always waiting on the women to get out of the bathrooms, which is understandable. I'm not trying to say it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that if you give men a separate place to go, it will speed up the process, not slow it down, as opposed to if you give it just unisex, the line's going to be forever out the door, and people are going to line up not by gender, but just by when you get there. So I am not in favor of that at all. And once again, back to Stephen and John, let's make sure we build this for the convenience and the practicality for the residents of Windermere first, taking into consideration people that visit our town. Obviously, I'm all a fan of that, but we're not building this for some large future venue. We're building this for the residents of Windermere first.
Thank you, sir. Any additional comments? Tom and CT still have their hands up, but I think that
no,
Oh,
Jim, I would like to add. Sorry, I was waiting for my turn again.
There you go.
So I think you do have to wrap your hands on who's your audience, who are you really building these for? And Tom touched base on this. So coming from the event planning side of it, I'm definitely for option 1. So as far as flow patterns go, you're right. The individual unisex, that is a time constraint. You got someone going in, you got them locking the door, you got them doing their thing, you got them washing their hands, you got them unlocking the door and coming out. With option 1, people are kind of queued up, they're ready to go. But on the other option, with option one, and again, I'm not an architect or an engineer, but I like this concept. The family room can actually be dual purpose. It could be your handicap and your family room. You could actually, in my opinion, you got two handicaps at the other end of the two, men's and women's. Well, handicap, yes, they're used and you need to have them. You need to have something accessible to them, but they're underutilized all the time. So you're adding that whole wing, unless you're going to do an outside door to approach that, like cut them off and have those like outside, then you could restrict when there's not a food truck, when there's not an event, you could just keep the family room and the two handicap, because we can use, normal people can use handicap as well. I do like the flow pattern of this one. I'm not sure we need two handicap and a family. I think there should be some combination there. And the other one I'm with Stephen on, that I think that whole apron area, the whole portico going into the individual ones, again, Tom hits on it. When it's a unisex, the lines get convoluted. Different people are using them. I'm also not, I don't think we need to be wearing the hat of security for the children, for the parents. That's a parent's job. So if they don't have a line of sight, then take your child to the restroom. I think we're trying to do so much for so many, and that's what's getting a little distracting to what the efficient model is going to be. I also like that you have to name your audience. If we're just building this for the residents, then it could be half of this, but we're not. I mean, we do host food trucks, so we have to keep them in mind. We do have an event that actually benefits the town, Wine and Dine. They're going to be giving us $50K a year. So yeah, I do want to design a bathroom that they might be able to utilize. There's Holiday Hoopla. I'm not sure what other ones are at that level, but I think the total picture is claim your audience. Who are we really building this for? And then I think it'll kind of guide us on the path that we're going down.
Actually, I like some things CT said, and I'd like to kind of add on to that. So, I kind of agree with you, CT. I think the reason we didn't want accessible doors to like the handicaps and option one from the other side is because it would be facing Forest Street, the way this was laid out. But maybe because one of the things we talked about before was instead of having the wing on the left and the right with the sinks for the mop purposes, having that more centralized. I think Tony had brought that up a couple months ago. But maybe if we took two of the stall, like got rid of the family bathroom in the front, took the two stalls that are in the back, move them on to the side. So you have your main bathroom, men's and women's, and then maybe two handicap unisex stalls on the right for the families. Then it could be a little bit longer. I don't know if anyone's visualizing what I'm saying, and then you would chop off the back, you would chop off the front. And if we could like put the mop area in between the bathrooms somehow where you're doing it, and then the sinks be where the mop buckets are, then you could still have women's side, men's side, and we'd still have two handicap stalls, two unisex stalls, but not just have that vestibule up at the front with the family room and all the sinks there. I don't know if anyone's visualizing what I'm saying, so sorry if it's not clear. But then you would still have all those urinals, you would still have all those toilets, but rather than putting a door that would face Forest Street for those two back ones, if they slid around onto the side, then they could still face forward away from the residents. And we'd pretty much have everything we have here, but one less unisexy type stall. Is that making sense to anyone?
I think, did you use the word unisexy? I just want to.
Sorry, I did. It's been a long day. Unisex type stall.
And quite frankly, Brandy, that does not make any sense to me.
Okay,
and
I'll give you a little sketch later.
But I do want you to understand, and I hope you trust that I have designed 1,000 restrooms at Universal Studios. And having access off of Forest to restrooms is not what we want. We want
No,
front,
that's what I'm saying.
we want front forward access
Yes.
to places that people can see. And then we want to have an efficient construction design. So at some point in time, you guys as council have to agree that some of us, that have experience in this, and you know what? And one of the greatest ads you did was say we needed a family restroom to this. And man, I'm glad we did that because that was important. We missed
Mhm.
that mark. And I, I'm just saying, I think at some point in time, we just got to say, hey, this is what we want to move forward with.
Right. Well, I don't mean adding back. I don't, that's what I'm saying. The two that are on the back. Okay. So the two that say the handicap stalls in the main restroom in option one, those two, correct. Slide those over to what would be the east side on property. I'm sorry, north side. So they would slide around to right there. Yes. And then you put their doors facing forward. And then you could chop off the whole front. And you would still have two unisex. They could be family stalls like that.
Yeah, but the problem is, within the code, we need to provide handicap accessible bathrooms within the men's room and the women's room.
If there's family ones provided that are unisex?
Yes.
Correct. ADA.
Every requirement,
It's a
whether it's a
requirement.
men's room and a women's room, you need one handicap restroom in each. So that's a code issue.
So if you do this design, you have to have those handicaps in the back.
Yes, correct.
They don't necessarily need to be in the back, but they need to be
Right.
in each of the areas.
Okay. Well, then we still have to have those if we do this option.
Yeah, I think the greatest call you made was adding a family restroom,
Yeah.
in the center, which gave us both handicap accessibility and privacy for parents that want to take their kids there or
Also,
anybody that needs privacy. And in addition to that, when we have small events, all we
right.
have to do is leave the family restroom open and we lock the other doors when people are playing basketball. So we don't have to worry about the maintenance.
You don't
It's a
have to worry
great,
about cleaning, right? You don't have to worry
yeah,
about cleaning or
it's an
maintaining or
awesome
having it
design
right.
that you guys came up with. And
Well, maybe we could scooch I just feel like the way the sinks are laid out, you still have a queue for people that need to wait inside the door to go to the bathroom. But what did you guys say about those two middle sinks?
those are janitor closets. So we
In the
could,
middle?
which are you talking about?
To the right of the circle.
Those ones right there?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so those doors stay locked. They're janitor closets for our guys, mop sinks for them to clean the bathrooms.
So then if we have those, do the two wings go away? Maybe Tanya said that at the beginning or you
No,
did.
those are not for people to wash their hand in. They're a low sink that we put mops in.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
thought we said at the last meeting, Tony or somebody said about
Oh, the
getting rid
wing
of
walls,
those.
yes, those
Okay.
part of your design was we're going to take those out
Okay.
and not have that, which obviously reduces the cost.
Okay. So those wing
Yeah.
walls in option one would be gone.
Yes, correct. And then that roof line doesn't get convoluted. Everything's simple. It's straight.
Mm.
And then, the beauty of this design is we always leave the family restroom open. People walking through town with their dogs that all of a sudden have to go potty, they have a place to go.
Okay, my brain's processing. Sorry. That was all for my comments. I didn't realize we had to have the handicap in there if we had a men's and a ladies like that.
Stephen, while she's processing, did you want to make a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm what CT Allen said. I mean, I absolutely agreed with most of her comments there. I mean, I thought this option one was good when it's over next to the town hall. And I just heard so many comments of ladies didn't want to walk their children to the bathroom. And I thought it was sort of silly at the time. So there's nothing wrong with option one. I was just trying to give you an option two that maybe met that other criteria.
Well, and I think so, I think option one is definitely more of what we would consider a standard, well laid out design, something that I think we're all familiar with. And, I don't think there may be a little cost savings here and there. But I think at the end of the day, you're going to get most likely, you're probably going to get the best bang for the buck and the most efficiency out of the design. I like the fact that you can close the larger portions so you don't have to maintain those so often, as well as protect them from vandalism, which we know does happen. It's a part of the reality. So, we can make that family single unit accessible as well as indestructible as possible. And I think that will serve us well, from my perspective. So, Brandy, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you have other?
No, you're all right. You're fine. I mean, as with the wing walls being gone on either side, I think that's better as long as everything's going to be centralized for the plumbing so that makes more sense. I mean, we're going to have another workshop, right? Since it was such last minute notice. So we'll see if we get any other public input.
On the 27th, but yes, we will do that.
Oh, I thought there was going to be what date is the 27th? Is that the regular workshop? Council workshop?
Yeah, that's the fourth Tuesday, but I'll schedule something in between.
Okay. Yeah, because it was I had people, I'd already got 3 calls today, like, why is it so last minute? I'm like, well, it is what it is. So yeah, if we can have another public input workshop and nobody goes, nobody goes. I knew Tanya had the easels because of what was in the agenda or whatever when I was talking to her today. So can we try to make this next one a in-person one for the, older people that don't use Zoom so much in our older generation?
What we'll do is we'll probably post the easels in town admin for people to visit. But we have seen that we have more participation with Zoom via in person. So
okay, well then get those in there soon so I can let people know, because I told them I'd give updates to the group texts.
Robert, if you're okay with it, I can get them sent over there tomorrow.
That's fine.
Okay.
Sounds
Thanks,
good.
Tanya.
All right. Anything additional for the good of the order? Seeing none, any comments from staff?
No, I'd just like to thank everyone for being here this evening and working through this process with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we're getting there. I mean, it's sometimes these meetings are you talk about a lot of things you never thought you'd talk about on a public meeting. And I have a new word, unisexy, so I'm going to be making t-shirts, and we'll see where that goes. Thank you, Brandy.
You're welcome. As long as I can keep you entertained.
That's a classic. All right, everybody. Again, I appreciate everyone's input. And with that, we'll close our Town of Windermere informational workshop at 6:45 p.m. Everybody have a great night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks
everybody.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
6:54 p.m.
Oh, yes. Did I say something different?
6:45. Yes, sir.
6. Yep. There you go. 6:54 p.m.